Hey, what's up guys? Again, Dragon here. I'll be doing something a little more different than usual for today's video. And of course, that will be talking about my wish list for Payday 3 for the stuff that I want to see in the game. Now, of course, this is just all my opinion. Nothing's been confirmed for, at launch or, in a later update when the game will come out. These are just the things that would actually make things a little more interesting, but also a little bit refreshing at the same time. Instead of just playing, Payday 2.5. After all, we always want to play something a little different, while still keeping the core gameplay the same. So without further ado, I'll go over to the list. My first one on the list, which I think to me is, in my opinion, to be very important, is improving the weapon customization. In Payday 2, they give us loads of customization for our weapons, and of course, they made it even more crazy on PC with weapon skins, weapon charms, and of course, also an exclusive set, which is like similar to a blueprint in, the newer CODs. But what I'm talking over about this is improving it in general, because this is their more experimental phase back in 2013. Because this was new to me, because normally when I play an older COD title, usually when you put on the attachment, usually it just improves one thing and never cons. Normally Suppressor does this, but they never really take a full extent of adding more pros and cons to most attachments. Payday 2, on the other hand, actually worked this out pretty well. You can see, for example, having a DMR kit, you increase your damage and accuracy, but you lose on total ammo, stability, and concealment, so there are certain trade-offs with it. And this is what makes it, your customization, go even further and more in-depth to it, to find out which one is fit your need for your mission or your heist you're going to pull. But at the same time, there are certain attachments that are just not worth it, like the single fire mode. If you compare this to the fully automatic, the full auto has increased damage and 8 stability, and of course you lose 4 accuracy. In single fire mode, it's literally the opposite, where you get plus 4 accuracy and minus 8 stability, but you don't even get a damage boost, which, why? It's really stupid, because semi-automatic should do more damage than a full auto weapon. So why does it get a damage plus 1 damage for full auto, yet semi-automatic doesn't even get it? Also, the accuracy bonus you get in single mode is not really a lot. It would have been better if they would add it to 12 with a plus 15 damage. Then I can definitely see a good trade-off for using single fire mode as opposed to auto fire, and also few stuff like the grips and stocks. For example, the contractor stock is plus 4 stability, but if you go for the ergo grip, it's also plus 4 stability. What makes it worse is that the ergo grip is a free attachment for all players, while the contractor grip, it's a DLC attachment. So you have to pay for something that's already exists in the game, but is also inferior to the rubber grip, which not only gives you plus 4 stability, but also plus 4 accuracy. So they could have done something else with it. Maybe give it a little bit more, let's say, more stability. Maybe a plus 8 or plus 12. Or with a little bit accuracy in touch as well. Or maybe have more accuracy, but don't give you much stability. To me, I think this would be a great trade-off for the contractor grip. As for the stock itself, it's the exact same story right here. Of course, you got the tactical stock, which is of course the the base stock, and when you look at the contractor stock, and also the wide stock. Funny enough, the wide stock is a Gauge Courier DLC on PC, yet on the Crime Wave Edition is a free stock attachment, so you get +4 stability, plus with 1 concealment. While the Contractor stock gives you only +4 stability, and that's about it. Like, and it's a paid DLC attachment again. It's so stupid. Again, they should have just buffed this attachment with a different number, because it's just literally a clone of the wide stock, except the wide stock is better. And also, I would love to see the ability to able to convert weapons into different ammunition that you can fire. For example, the Galil here, which of course in this game is called the Gecko 7.62, fires the 7.62 by 51mm NATO, which should be more of a bow rifle roll, which I think the Galil would have been awesome to have. But it can also fire the 5.56 by 45mm round in a 45 round magazine, while the 7.62 round should be fired from a 25 round magazine. After all, I don't think they're able to code something like this with the diesel engine because it's really outdated. Hopefully the Unreal Engine provides something like this, because I love to see how crazy the customization goes. Because let's say if I want to make a micro Galil, well, I'll just take the base Galil and this will have the CQB foregrip and probably a CQB stock or something close similar to it, maybe like a light stock, or just maybe like a normal one, or just none. You got yourself a micro Galil. So it's kind of cool we have something like this in terms of able to create different variants of the gun. And I just hope they could go even further with the weapon in depth, and also able to convert weapons firing different types of ammunition of different playstyle. The next one on my list is the weapon family tree system, which has been actually introduced in a recent early title 5 months ago with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 2022. And the concept for it is you work on one gun. Once you leveled up, you will unlock another weapon to able to use it and progress through the tree. And to me, I actually like that concept idea, not only for like a gun nut myself, but also a different way to unlock weapons instead of the usual unlocking by, a player level or a contract. Plus, it gives people more time to play with these guns, which they probably will never do, in previous titles. So the basic here is having the exact same receiver of the body of the weapon, being of course, for example here I have the AK family right here. So we have the AKS 74 on the top left being the assault rifle, the top right being the AKMSU, which is a carbine, or AKS 74U. And then we have the SMG on the bar right with the PB-19 Bison. And then we have the LMG of the AK family being the RPK. Do you see the pattern here? You can literally make the same gun fit for a different class. And this would be great not only for the player to able to have more variety of weapons in the game, but it also helps with the development for Overkill when they're developing Payday 3. After all, I'm pretty sure at launch we don't have nearly as a lot of weapons compared to what Payday 2 has currently on PC. So at least that way they can able to save some, animation time, even if the weapons use the same reload animation, I'm fine with that. If it's like part of like a certain family of weapons. So this is an example. I got a few of them right here. The other one I have is the AR family. So of course we got the M-Car, we got the M16, the M4A1, and of course the Para, which is usually the K23B. So you get the idea. It's literally the exact same platform, but does do a little more differently. Let's say the M16 fires a 3-round burst, and you probably have one of these ARs to fire in, well, semi-automatic, like a DMR or a marksman rifle. And of course, I got another one, which is one of my personal favorites, is the G3 family. Now, of course, I got two G3s here, one the base version and one a little more modified to be similar to a PSG-1 designated marksman rifle, which is, of course, the bottom left. And, of course, you got the SMG, being the MP5, and you got the HK21 LMG. And you can probably see the picture, they resemble quite a lot. And I really like this because it just gives me more time to, well, I always love to pair up with these weapons to be from similar, well, companies that they made. And to me, I really like this idea because it just gives you a lot more flexible and variety of weapons. And of course, here's the G46 family, and I know the UMP-45 is not really a G46 platform, but it just looks so similar to it because they use the exact same polymer design, the same select fire, and the very modern take too. Plus, they're designed to replace the G3 families, respectively, with the G36 designed to replace the G3, while the UMP-45 designed to replace the MP5. And of course, I know the Dragunov is also not a weapon part of the AK family because it used a different receiver, but it just looks so similar, so I can't deny it. But you can definitely see we even have the shotgun Sega 12, and it would work. I would just like to see something like this similar in Payday 3, which I think they could able to do it perfectly because we brought a lot of weapons from different families almost close together. And of course, just a little side bonus, I even include the Uzi family. All we're missing is the the mini Uzi into the mix. And it would be kind of interesting if they do something like this. Now, of course, to be clear, not all weapons have a family tree. Some can be, unlocked normally, but fine by, by player level. But to unlock weapons as a similar model in a family tree, well, you had to use that specific weapon. Let's say, for example, you want to unlock the micro Uzi. Well, you need to require a little few more kills with the Uzi to unlock the micro Uzi. And of course, that's when you unlock the Uzi in a player level. Let's say maybe about level 50. That's when you can also be able to unlock the micro Uzi on that exact same level once you're able to, well, acquire enough kills with the Uzi. So just a little thought of having a different progression, different way to unlock, and make it a very interesting playstyle. Now, of course, there's other weapons here as well, but I didn't include it in the screenshots. The FN Scar and the AUG, they do have their own weapon family trees. It's just, well, it's a shame that Overkill never really put much into them. Hopefully they can do it in Payday 3 if they decide to do so. But that's the second one on the list here. Another one on my list here is this time all about progression, and this one is going to be the Infamy, and also a little bit rework with the Infamy system on the things when you go Infamy and also when you get rewarded. Now, of course, in my opinion, the Infamy is the best prestige system we ever have in any game. Even way better than the classic and current Call of Duty titles. Why? Because it never gives you any XP boost or bonus. And Payday 2 was the first game that did something like this. And I was actually mind-blowing they don't really copy this. But anyway, now in terms of how it would work in a tree, honestly though, I really wish there was like an infamy shop. Like you can save your infamy points and able to spend something elsewhere. Of course, you're able to get something cosmetic or maybe more XP. Or better yet, you can have a permanent unlock token. Let's say your favorite weapon, like, let's say for example, is the M249 Saw, which is usually locked at level 45. Or something even much expensive one, like the HK21, which is unlocked at level 71. Or the Barrett M95, unlocked at level 65. Well, if you use a permanent unlock token on that weapon, you have access to the weapon immediately. Even if you went to Infamy again, this weapon will be available to you all the time. So you don't have to work your way around using another sniper rifle to level up and get to the Barrett. And probably additional other rewards that I'm pretty sure a lot of people could think of what would be a great infamy reward to have. Besides just maybe cosmetic. But another thing I like about it was the way you can actually lower your skill point costs with the tree. Like the sets like Mastermind, Ghost, Enforcer, and Tactician. Requirements for them is reduced by 10%, which is actually one of the coolest rewards when you prestige. And it helps you with your builds. So most of the builds I can reach was all because of the infamy system. And how it works is pretty straightforward. Of course, I think you just need, of course, 1 point to vest here to reach tier 2. You need to spend, I think, 5 points or 4 points to invest to this tree. And then you need to invest into, yeah. And then you have to invest into 20 skill points to reach tier 4, except you need 16, so it's worth it to go to Infamy. I mean, once you reach the first 5, you don't really need to go for the extra mile. But honestly, I think you should, because you get more XP, which also means you get more Continental coins when you level up in the heist or succeeding in the heist. Now, I don't know how much infamy we're going to have at launch for Payday 3, or if they bring it, which I hope to God they do, because it'll at least give you something to work on while you're playing it. I don't care if it's like Infamy 10, as long as we get something to work for. The next one is pretty much about the weapon movement speed. In terms of, equipping the weapon in your hands and how fast you can actually run with it. Now, of course, in Payday 2, they actually got rid of the LMGs and the miniguns, heavy reduction to the movement speed by 20%, which was actually... It still applied to the PS3 and the Xbox 360 version to the free LMGs. So, honestly though, I really wish they didn't remove that, because it definitely gave a little bit more personality and a lot more heaviness to the LMGs. Which actually kind of makes them as dangerous. They're very heavy, but they're very deadly once they get the right setup. So, I'll just pretend this is my movement speed with an LMG. Very slow. I'm not trying to sprint here because I still sprint the same speed for any other weapon. And let's say I equip the MP5, which is more lighter since it's an SMG. I move pretty quickly. You can definitely see I can able to reach the other end with kind of no problem, just by walking. If I had something like heavy, like an LMG for example, I should able to move at this type of pace. And you can see how slowly I go. And of course, there should be ways to having attachments to, able to increase some of the movement speed, but do at a heavily cost. just like I mentioned on my first list on weapon customization, we should have attachments that actually increase mobility speed as well as either movement speed as well. Like certain barrels and stock should actually affect the gun performances, where having a short barrel, of course, will give you better raise time, or having no stock should able to increase more movement speed. But at the same time, you lose stuff like on range, recoil control. It just makes it even better, and plus it actually gives more weapons in other playstyles, at least in other class, a much better game. Like the ARs and SMGs, they usually just are the same. Usually people consider ARs essentially SMGs in the primary, or an SMG are essentially ARs in a secondary slot. So there's really not much difference between the two at all, in fact, other than, the whole weapon class. But if they do introduce a movement system where the SMGs move faster than the ARs, I would actually consider to be a very favorable, because ARs essentially are just much better than SMGs because they could reach better range, and of course they're usually in a primary slot. So that's pretty much my fourth list that I have. And finally, the last one on my list, it is the skill tree. I like the skill tree. It is really one of the best created classes that we ever have it, because you can't get every skill in the game because you don't have a lot of skill points. And of course, if we would have access to all of them, we would be broken as shit. We would be too strong for anything. Like seriously, like would you like to have able to have health regen with few extra armor, with crits, with deadly weapons like body expertise and fucking pistol skills, with shotguns involved? Yeah, that would be insane. But I'm grateful we don't have all the skills that we can play. So hopefully the skill tree actually returns, and I hope some of the skills get a little bit reworked. One, the biggest one I want to see a change was to the crit system for either low blow or unseen strike. And to me, the change I would like to make is the only way to get crits or a critical hit, you must shoot the enemy at the weak spot, which in this game would be headshots. So if you try to shoot anywhere in the body that's not a head, you won't get crits. You should only get crits when you hit the weak spot. At least that way, it encourages people to be very accurate with their weapons. And plus, going for headshots, it's not really this hard. I mean, if you've been playing COD, doing these, grinding for camo challenges, and you have evolved with headshots, the easy tip is literally just aim at the upper chest of your target and basically fire a weapon. Usually the weapon has lots of vertical recoil, and once it shoots up, one of the few bullets follow up behind it of the others should land you a headshot. So it should not be that hard to get headshots. So I don't see anyone complaining about trying to get crits hitting the weak point. Honestly, it makes a lot more sense instead of just able to shoot somewhere in the body, because I just find it's a little stupid that you can just shoot like a bulldozer's leg and they just die. But yeah, that's gonna be everything on my wish list of, stuff I like to see in Payday 3. Of course, this was a very, even though these were a few things I have on the list, there was a lot of stuff I want to talk about, because I want to go over the stuff and give you guys a little more understanding and a little more info. Now, of course, a lot of these features may not, of course, some of these probably will be available at launch, or maybe available in a later update, or maybe not appear at all. But hey, I'm completely fine with that. And after all, this is just my wish list. It's never true, or it's never false. But it will be kind of nice to give a little more feedback. But anyways, thank you for watching, everyone. And also thank you for listening as well. And until next time, farewell, and have a wonderful day, everyone.